Well, good morning, everybody. I'm glad you checked in for our Youth Sunday School this morning. Today's going to be an exciting day. We get to celebrate our seniors and recognize them in our morning worship service this morning at 11 o'clock. I hope you're going to be able to be there. I've got the privilege of getting the chance to preach this Sunday, as Brother Mike has been on vacation this last week. So I hope you'll be there. If not, I totally understand. I know there's still a lot of question about if school's really going to start on August 13th or not. I hope everything goes to where we can start school, but we have to stay safe and we have to follow the guidelines that we're given. So in that vein, just to give you a heads up, we are planning on trying to start meeting back together on Wednesday nights when school officially kicks off. Not sure exactly what that's going to look like yet, but we're working on a plan so that we can offer you guys and girls a safe way to come back and be together. I've already talked with Mark and Summer, and we're discussing how we could do worship together. And I just look forward to seeing you, and hopefully we can move forward and get back together. I'm really excited. We've got our Cook Springs retreat coming up November 13th through the 15th. We've rented 2 huge cabins so we can spread out, and we're going to try to make that happen. But we're kind of in the same boat as everybody else. I know everything's kind of up in the air still, a lot of things that have to be decided, but I'll keep you in touch as soon as I know things. I do know that this morning we're going to be studying our Sunday school lesson out of the book of Luke. We're going to be looking in Luke chapter 12. If you got your Bibles handy, grab them, open them up, Luke chapter 12. Let's look together at the scripture this morning. We're going to start in verse 15 of Luke 12. Here's what it says. Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and I'll build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than birds? Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Consider how the wildflowers grow. They do not labor or spin, yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, you of little faith?" Now, skip down to verse 31. It says, "But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will never fail, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So, we see Luke here. Now, we've talked about Luke a good bit before, that his job was a doctor, but his passion was to be a historian. So whenever we get his accounts in the Gospel of Luke or in the book of Acts, which he also wrote, he always tries to give details and maybe point out things that the other gospel authors didn't write. And so I like to read Luke a lot. And in his description of Jesus's words, those were all, red letter words here. Out of the gospel accounts, most of them are. He gives us an account of exactly what Jesus said. And Jesus gives these really powerful illustrations of, birds and flowers and how they don't have souls, but God cares for them. How much more will he not care for you? I was thinking about the movie and the book and the play, The Christmas Carol, the story of Scrooge, and how Scrooge was this really wealthy yet greedy guy. And even on the night of Christmas, he just wasn't moved to be charitable and to be giving. And so in the night, he's visited by these 3 ghosts, these ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. And his greed had infiltrated his entire life and had ruined him. And these ghosts go back in his life and look and see the decisions he had made and the things that had happened that had led him to where he was at this point in his life. And then even went further to show him where he would end up. You know, Jesus didn't come to his disciples as a ghost in the night and give them a glimpse of what greed could lead to in your life. He just flat out says it. I love the way he's so direct with what the love of money and greed can do to somebody, because he's trying to give them a warning. He loves them and he wants them not to make mistakes that are going to ruin the rest of their life as far as how they see possessions and how they see money and the things that we have. We should always try to have an eternal perspective. So let's talk a little bit more about that. I think one of the first things I'd point out was that Jesus wanted to make sure that his disciples understood that their worth was not based on the amount of money in their checking accounts. Their worth was not based on the things that they had accumulated on this earth. That their worth was based on what God said that they are worth. And that's where their heart should be. And knowing that they were children of God and that they had an immeasurable worth as his child. But he also wanted them to really understand the attitude towards your material possessions can really mess life up for you, and it can cause a lot of anxiety if you're worried about all the things that you have. And let's say you've been blessed with a lot. If you're all the time worried about stuff getting broken or stolen or going wrong, if you're all the time worried about that, you have anxiety in your life that you shouldn't have. And the bottom line for that is, no matter what we accumulate in this life, we don't get to take any of it with us. When this life is over and we're laid in the ground, we don't take anything that we own with us. We get to leave it behind to our children who are going to squander it, right? I'm just kidding. We don't get to take anything with us, though. So what are the things that have eternal value? Well, you, your soul, and the soul of the people that you love and you pour into. If you lead someone to know who Christ is because of the way you live, because you share your faith with them, somebody who isn't following Christ, and you can be part of their salvation as far as your willingness to share the gospel with them and get to watch the Holy Spirit work in their life. If you get to be part of that, man, that's going to be something to celebrate in heaven, because guess what? They can be there with you. That is the only thing we can take with us into heaven, is the other people that we love on and we share Christ with, in hopes that God works in their life and saves them. And so our perspective should never be skewed by the things that we have. You know, I've told you about this before. I've been blessed in a lot of ways in my life, but when I think about the possessions that I own, I mean, it's nothing for me to let somebody borrow something that I have. And most of the time, if it's AJ, it comes back broken, but that's okay. He'll stick around while I fix it and he'll watch. But, you know, the things that we have, if we're just all the time worried about taking, I'm not saying don't take good care of them, but if we're all the time worried about not letting somebody put a scratch on something, or the money that we have, if we're so stingy with what we have that we couldn't lend somebody a 20 if they needed some gas money, if we're that stingy with what we have and we're that greedy, man, it just messes life up. Because when you let go of that greed, when you let go of that attitude of things, I need to accumulate things, when you let go of all that, there's freedom in that. And it's a freedom that can give you joy in the middle of difficult times. Now, I also see the side of it, and I understand, and Jesus did too, that money is something that you need to have to be able to buy the things that you need. Now, in America, a lot of our money goes towards the things that we want, because most of us have our basic needs already met. Food, clothes, shelter. You have a place you live. You have food on the table. You have clothes to wear. And so we have our basic needs met, and a lot of times our money goes towards the things that we want or the things that we desire. But we need to be careful on where we put our focus and how we see that money. Because if your one desire, if all you can think about is, I want to grow up, I want to get a job where I can make tons of money and I can have tons of stuff, your life's going to stink. I don't know how else to tell you that. I'm not saying hard work is wrong, because it absolutely is not wrong. I'm not saying that saving money is wrong, because it is absolutely not wrong. You should save. But if your pursuit is the accumulation of things instead of the growth of a relationship with God, you're going to find yourself unfulfilled. You can see that all across America. A lot of people who chase after wealth and money end up just absolutely miserable, even the ones who get it. In fact, I'll never forget, when I was younger, we had a guy come speak to my church. I went to First Baptist Church in Fayette, Alabama, growing up. we had a guy come in, and he was a world champion bull rider. He had won a world championship with the PBR. It's supposed to be a big deal for you bull riding people out there. I guess you know what I'm talking about. And he came to our church to share his testimony. It was about 5 years after he had won it. And he talked about how he had pursued that his entire life. Like, he wanted to be a professional bull rider. He went after it. And when he finally made it to the top, I think he said that it was in Las Vegas maybe where they had it. I can't remember for sure. But he said the night after he won this world championship, his wife had left him the year before because all he ever did was ride bulls. He didn't spend time on his relationship. He wins the world championship. He gets all this sponsorship money, and his future looks so bright. And he talked about how he sat in his hotel room and he cried that night because he realized he had achieved what he had always accomplished, and he still felt empty and he still felt void. And thank the good Lord that there was somebody in his life who shared Christ with him. And about 3 weeks after this experience, he became a believer. He kept riding bulls, but his whole perspective on it changed. He actually went back after his wife. They actually got back together, and he shared his faith with her, and she became a Christian too. And I remember his testimony was so powerful. But when I think about somebody pursuing something that they want to be the best at or that they want to have the most of, I always think about that guy, because he told me, when you gain those things, even when you reach the ultimate pinnacle of what you thought you needed and you don't have Christ in your life, man, it's empty. I would never want you to go through your life pursuing all these things to only come up empty at the end. So keep Christ first. Keep your perspective right when it comes to money and those other things. Just keep in mind, if I had to sum this lesson up, I think Jesus would want you to understand that anything you have in this life is really just on loan from Him. You're like the steward of Gondor from the Lord of the Rings. You're left in charge of something that's not really yours, okay? And that Lord of the Rings probably went over most of your heads. But it's really the idea that whatever I have, it's only on loan from God because I can't take it with me. So I'm just in possession of it maybe now, but it's not really mine, it's His. So use everything that you have and everything that He blesses you with in ways that can further His kingdom and further His message. And that's the way that you can have wealth and not be worried about it. It's difficult, I think, as you accumulate things and as you have things, to have the right biblical perspective of what wealth and what things should be. But it's not impossible. You got to work at it. So, I hope you all grow up, get great jobs, join a local church, and teach Sunday school classes. But I don't know what your future holds. I would just say, just a word of warning, don't chase after what the world tells you is important, because the world's going to tell you that you grab onto power and you grab onto money and you grab onto all these things, and that's going to bring fulfillment. And ultimate fulfillment only comes in the person of Jesus Christ and in a relationship with Him. So I want to challenge you to pursue that. Pursue that through the course of your whole life. I guarantee you won't be let down. Now, I hope that you're at church this morning because I'm preaching and I want you to be there. But I understand if you're not going to be. I'm glad we're being able to put all these things online between our services on Wednesdays and Sundays and Sunday school. But I am ready to see you in person. So as we get ready to head into school, I will get details of our plan out as we have them and as we firm everything up. We're still kind of, like I said, in a holding pattern to wait and see what the schools do and what we're going to be allowed to do. And so just stay tuned. Keep watching these videos. Send them to your grandmother. She may be missing Sunday school this morning if she can't go to church. Y'all take care. Remember, if you need me, shoot me a text. Give me a call. My number is 205-261-3906. If you don't have it, most of you already have it. But if you don't, feel free to share that. If you hear somebody in need, please let me know. We're still doing ministry here and there. If you want to be a part of a work project that we've tried to get together coming up, shoot me a text. We're going to try to go to a church in our area toward Wilsonville who works in, this church has a recovery program that they host. We're going to try to go and do a few little construction things around there. I'm hoping it will be over the course of this next week or the next week. But when I'm able to confirm that, I'll let you know. I'll probably shoot a text out to all our students in case you can come and help out. But y'all take care. Have a great week if I don't see you in worship this morning. And don't forget to check out Wednesday night, our youth Bible study at 6 p.m. Take care.